they want you to show it to them. Okay, so let me show you how this showing thing works. Now, the thing about powers is they actually reside in planes that generally are higher than the physical plane. Okay, so when someone wants you to perform something for them in the physical plane, they're actually materialists. And spiritualists and materialists are like on two different spectrums. You see what I mean? So, and also materialists tend to be sorcerers. They tend to want to see some kind of manifestation of the physical phenomena of their power and their reality, generally in retrospect to their energy. And that generally for them is company, money, commanding, power, all those things in the physical reality which corrupt the soul and the spirit of the individual doing that. So the next level of this is, and what's being taught is just simply for the person to realize that this magnificent power that I'm explaining is still for the person to unlock within themselves. Not necessarily for me beyond explaining it, to show them proof of it. Because, again, how they see it versus how I understand it is two different things. So it's not for me, and that's why I see you can't mess up your own equations. This is how you mess up your own equations. When you start adding others to your equation, like when you say, well, I wonder if it's possible that I can do X. Then if you start thinking, well, how many people have ever been able to do that? Right away, you're starting to mess up your equation. So there's so many different ways because you don't know the person's weight and measure of their spirit. So this is actually what it breaks down to. So you don't know if they're going up or going down. This could be an improvement for them, how they're acting right now, even if they're the craziest person to you versus what they were doing before. So because you can't get an exact anything, even when using your intuition, now you cannot create order. And just like the cosmos, that's the true order. When they tried to bring heaven to earth, like these organizations like the Jesuits, that's why they call them the order, because they're still responsible for making sure some rapist doesn't just rape everyone. They attempt to balance it out and keep some kind of order with their police departments. And then in that, attempting to balance the power, they can become corrupted by the power. So that's always the perils of the sorcerer and the magician, is that they can be corrupted by that power. So that basically opens up the saga that's like Harry Potter. What we're trying to do here is take it to an entirely different level and put it under a whole different GUI. GUI is a GUI. The GUI is, this is how we're seeing when Microsoft OS. However, Microsoft OS is actually more of what you're getting here. So I can command the computer to do every single thing that I need to do from here, which is called the terminal. But people don't want to use the terminal. So we put a GUI over it. The GUI is, the files are there, your pictures are there, etc. So now any deep programmer is only using the terminal. They actually don't even run their computers with desktops and all that stuff because all that takes more power from the processor. All power must be put into the terminal. So it's the same thing in real life, that right now, the GUI over the reality is still stuck back a few epochs. Like it's, it has different aspects to it. We could use another conversation to just break that down alone, but basically how people are interpreting what's going on behind the scenes in the terminal of the reality is through all of what they've been fed, from occultism to spirituality to religion to personal life experiences and all of that. And now it's so cluttered, it's almost like Windows 8 or the worst one that Windows had. It doesn't even really operate properly. So now someone must come, because still people don't want to use a terminal. It's too difficult for a person right away to use a terminal. That's like when you go to use the third eye, and then you activate the gift, which is your third eye, and we'll just call the third eye here because it's the hypothalamus and the hippocampus and the pineal gland working in conjunction. The bride's in the chamber, third eye turns on. Now the third eye is the only gift that we have that makes us different from animals, especially when you study things anatomically. Because what the third eye is capable of doing is it can pierce through anything without breaking it. this is very important, because if you don't break something, you don't harm something, you now have fulfilled the universal law. So you're not subject to karma. See, in the magic books, what they explain to you is that magic you can practice freely as long as it doesn't harm others. But unfortunately, most magic harms something. Like, it's just, you got to think about it. Like, at some point, it's like interest. If you're pulling something from somewhere, it's got to come from somewhere, so you end up back in that system again. The third eye is free from that system. Somehow, an orifice has been created, which that is the correspondence to the highest. And that's why access is the highest realm, because it's on the stage of not harming anything, but also not being unaware of everything. And that is true power. So, personally, if a person knew that, they probably should spend most of their time trying to activate that. And all the rest of the stuff would just kind of be secondary, because that's the true gift, you see. So,